For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a product review video on a nice new product from Dometic. So with me here today I've got the Dometic Sunshine Air Tour collection. So I say new, it's more of a big kind of update for the new 25 season going forward. What we find here is Dometic have really kind of took all their core models and actually updated them with a really nice tour fabric. So it's a new fabric they've introduced. It takes over almost the pro fabric that we've probably done for the best part of probably 10 to 15 years actually, since Camper first brought it into the market. But what really Dometic have tried to achieve with this new fabric is essentially getting better colour retention, smarter. It's got ripstop running through it, so actually generally it's a bit stronger than the old pro fabric, and with the new features on the Sunshine we've got a lot more talking points, which we'll obviously cover throughout this video. So on the whole, the way they've actually created a tour material is the fact that they've gone back and done something we call solution dyeing or dope dyeing, i.e. what is you dye the thread before it's actually woven into material. Now the reason this is important is because there's a difference between, say, a carrot and a radish. Odd question, I know, but the difference, for example, when you cut them in half is that for a carrot the colour's all the way through, and a radish you have the colour on the outside and the white in the middle. Now by doing this new solution we're in the carrot scenario where if, for example, with a radish we were to strip the outer coating away, which happens when basically the sunlight and UV gets into it, you then get the white of the inside come up, so it looks very faded and tired, and that's where this new colour is going to look a lot sharper and last a bit longer as well, because we've got a really nice ripstop material running through it, so it's a stronger fabric all round. Obviously, one of the big differences with the design of it as well is we've got this almost like peak canopy. Now, this is basically to increase internal height on the Sunshine, and it's also worth mentioning actually the Sunshine is just the canopy on its own, but you can buy additional sides that zip in and a front that zips in, so it becomes a complete awning, but it's 3 different components. So to give you an idea, when you've just got the canopy, it looks something like this. When you buy the sides as a pair and they come on and you zip them on, it looks something like this. And of course, when you got the finished article, here we are with all 3 panels directly in place. Now, having them actually zip on rather than the old model used to be like a pole system, it's a lot more thorough. It creates a better seal all round and creates more of a, like a sealed awning rather than what was simply just the sun canopy. It is kind of that way. It's probably not going to fit as well on the sides with the side panels as your traditional kind of porch awnings, but it's a really great way to just take a bit of the wind and kind of the elements out of it at all. Of course, because it comes as 3 different items, you don't have to buy all 3. But it's also worth mentioning that the side panels on this model won't fit the old Pro because there's a completely different way of attaching. So if you have got an old Pro, you can't buy the sides or the front to fit it. We've got obviously traditional kind of pegging ladders to give us good tension against it. We've got storm straps which are included to give you great tension, and also they've got little reflective parts in them as well, so you're in a night with a torch, it'll glare back up, so hopefully you're not going to trip over them, but there's no obviously guarantee. Low level strap as well, give it obviously torsion across the width, so by doing both you've got sort of belts and braces and it's pretty rock solid. The model I've got with me here is the 400. They do 3 different sizes in total, so they do a 300, 400 and a 500, i.e. a 3 metre, 4 metre and 5 metre. When you move to the 5 metre you do get the kind of dual straps on the front here to give it tension, so it's like a V shape into a single strap, but the normal models, it's as you see. The thing that makes this different a bit to other ones on the market as well is not all of them have a central beam pressing against the Motorhome or the Caravan, which makes life a lot easier. And a big other new update as well to the new Sunshine Tour is we now have dual beading on it, so you can fit it onto a Caravan or also onto a Motorhome. There is a limitation with the range, so it will fit up to about 260 in terms of the connection point. Merely, it's not so much due to anything else, but it's more down to the pegging points down the bottom here, just because you'll end up being, this side panel will be sort of floating in the well. So even though in theory you probably could go a bit taller, it's not recommended. That's very much on your own back in that sense. But we've got, like I said, dual beading on there, so it'll fit into a cassette awning or a wind-up awning, and it's got basically a 5mm and a 7mm beading, so perfect all the way around. Especially, a lot of people probably will say, why would you put that on instead of using your cassette? The problem with cassettes is they're fair weather. There's a lot to go wrong because obviously it's hinged on the sort of side of your motorhome. There's always a risk for windy weather, whereas something like this, it's its own entity, the cassette's rolled back, it's locked and secured, and the cost actually of this plus the sides in the front is a lot cheaper than buying the safari rooms that you get for the front of the panels anyway. So from a cost effective wise, it works better, packed smaller, and there's less risk. So that's kind of one of the main reasons you would go for option like this over something else. We've got a single beam inflation, so it's inflated from this side over here, but we've also got a deflation point on the other side, and then the valve itself, you would unthread that, and that would be sort of a deflation point on both sides, so you're not going to trap any air directly in. Other things to mention is obviously with the front door panel, as you see it here, we have the option to open it from sort of right to left or left to right. You also got 2 zip pullers, so if you want to, you could create like a little bit of a veranda system. There's no hole or anything that kind of goes into it, but it still allows a bit of airflow but keeps the dog inside. Of course, when you want to kind of access it, there's no doors on the side panels, so you are very much going to be entering the awning from the front. You can sort of unpeg it, zip that back, and then this whole panel will then just roll away. Always easy if you've got a second pair of hands, but and then you've got a toggle point around there to kind of keep that all at bay. They never make these things long enough, do they? Helps even if you have a second pair of hands, but still. And then you can still leave that pegged directly backing in, so it kind of leads then your main sort of entrance into here as well. There is a little tab located along the side here, basically to stop the beams from splaying out too much, and you get the position quite nice and neatly. You're welcome to look at the pitching and packing video we've done on this, actually showing you how quick, simple and easy it really was to pitch, and also how each component almost works with another. Other things to point out as well, like so we talked about the roof beam. It's a single point inflation, so it also inflates this middle tube up here as well. There is an isolation tap inside of here, so you can sort of isolate off, so God forbid you have an issue with the main tube or even just the bracer tube, you can unzip that, patch it, repair it, put it back in, you're good to go. Of course, you can just zip the whole panel off at the front if sort of weather does change and you want something a little bit different. So that's also something to sort of, you can kind of look at as well. We've got a little skirt on the bottom of all the panels as well, so it means you bring it on the inside and you can peg that down to just get a better seal all the way around. But for me, it's the headroom height. Like being 6'2", it does feel a lot more spacious just because of that peak. And it also means, certainly if you're going on to say like a motorhome or something like that, the joys of having this kind of little peak increase the height of, well, almost the pitch before the roof's a little bit slower, but it still drains off properly. That means when you open the door, you've got better clearance on the underside as well. In fact, let's bring the camera inside and get a bit more up close and personal with the model itself. So we'll kind of come around to the side first and foremost to look at the depth. So it's actually a standard 2.5 meter depth, but because also the front panel is very, very flat, you are getting pretty much the full 2.5 meter depth. So it does feel actually generally a little bigger. Like I said, you're never going to get a perfect fit down the side. They are really more just, it is kind of just a shelter rather than something that's going to be completely sealed in. But you can see how the panel zips quite nicely. One thing I do like is actually the zips, the side panel zip on from the bottom and go up to the top rather than trying to attach it right at the top, which always is a little bit more awkward. But as you can see of it here, also this being the 4 meter design, I think it sits really nicely. You've got storm straps, like I said, on the front, and then the deflation point is located just down the bottom there. So it's same as the isolation tap, so a little tap down there, nice and neatly in there. But again, the colour, I'm not sure if you can probably see the colour of the fabric or even maybe the ripstock threads running through it. You can probably just about see that there. So again, that's a nice sort of detailing that I think is done quite well. As we kind of come inside, the crystal clear windows they've used in the PVC works really well. So again, there's no kind of great clarity as you look around. I mean, you look at there, you can't really see much of a difference between, say, the normal door and then the PVC window. You know, I think that's actually is, you know, quite impressive. Generally, we've also got a tube that goes directly down. So if you are putting this on like a Ducato kind of van or a Boxster, and you've got a sliding door, that's where you've got to be careful because the underside beam isn't going to quite work with that. So you'll probably end up sliding, catch into that. So I wouldn't really recommend it for a kind of Ducato kind of style van. We have got an accessory track here So what you could do as well is actually have organisers come down to sort of create a bit more decluttered space nice and neatly in there. But you can see, if you look at the pitch of the roof, it's pretty quite sharp. So when you've got things like a door, you've got enough kind of room, and it obviously just gets higher potentially in the middle. But really does create a nice little seal. And again, same on the other side as well. The instructions are the fire retardant instructions, so you can doesn't look like that messy bit of paper in the corner. So again, you can probably see the peak, and we'll to look at the dual beading as well, just so you can see how that kind of works. But you can see also there's quite a bit of a slope to it. So we can see located up here, that's the sort of 4mm beading, and the 6mm beading is already into the track system there, and the zip is retained by a little part. So again, that works really quite smartly. But all I think the modifications they've made to the new Sunshine Tour is a real big plus point. You know, so the key kind of headline news is we've got the new Tour fabric, 300D ripstop material. We've got the panels now zip on, and the front panel zips on. We've got a peaked part to it, storm traps included, dual beading, so 5mm, 6mm beading. You get a pump standard come included as well, so you get a downdraft pump that comes included with the actual awning itself. 3 components you bought separately, but yeah, I mean, I think the pitching time for me, pitching the main body, sides and the front was like 13, 12 minutes, something like that, which for any awning is pretty decent, let alone something that's sealed and versatile, that's with zipping panels on and not just feeding it through, pegging it down and pumping up kind of thing. So on the whole, yeah, I think really quite a nice addition. I think it looks quite smart. I do quite like the colour scheme, the black with the grey, with the, it just looks as a more technical product, I think, previously, which again I think will be a bit Marmite. Some people like the old Pro fabric, and don't get me wrong, I did like it, but I think the functionality of this product and how actually just a bit more thoroughness, the feel of it, I do like seeing ripstop. It does feel a bit more techy to me. Maybe that just comes into it a bit more, yeah, just a bit more techy. But all in all, a good bit of kit. Something you can check out via the link below as well. I'll take you through to our website. We've got all the sizes and the latest pricing and offers on the front panels, side panels, and so forth. But I think as a whole, generally, I think good improvements, and something we generally will have most. Yeah, we'll try and have on display at some sort of pitch. But in all, that's kind of our Attwoolls video review on this brand new Dometic Sunshine Tour in obviously the 300, 400, and the 500 models. But for any more questions, queries, or concerns, comment in the box below. Of course, contact us directly via our website, YouTube, Facebook, any of our Instagrams, sorts of things. We've got lots of different channels you can look at us from. So, but thank you very much for watching. We look forward to seeing you again soon in our next Attwoolls Outdoors video review.